Yeah, I was actually looking for quite a long time for an update to your Crash Course video series, and I understand you're busy and it never seemed to happen, and this is it right here. This is the update. It's more in depth. There's more analysis, but very early on in the book, we get the sense that things are speeding up, and that's also brought up in the video series. And what's interesting about this book versus the Crash Course video series is that you expand upon the topic ranges, the areas of topics that you're willing to talk about, and you also dive deeper into the areas that you already highlighted in the videos. So let's spend some time talking about the exponentials and what you think is causing our economy to go parabolic.
In the Crash Course, I point out both, in the online version and the book, that we have all these nonlinear curves, all these hockey sticks, all sort of appearing at the same time. And we've been living with them for a while, but I'm trying to make the point that they connect, and that they connect in this next period of time. I called it 20 years, but I'll be honest with you, it's really the 20 teens of where I've been focusing my efforts, between 2010 2020. This is where all kinds of curves meet. First of all, we have the monetary curves. So let's just think about one simple piece of data. We go from 1970 to 1980, from 1980 to 1990, and so on. And we come through those 4 decades, right? 70s, 80s, 90s, and then the 2000s. Those 4 decades, in each of those decades, total amount of debt in our U.S. system has at least doubled. In fact, we've had 5 full doublings in those 4 decades. So think about that. If we want the next decade to look like anything that anybody who's, an adult right now probably remembers, the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s, we need credit market debt to double again. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means it needs to go from 52 trillion to 104 trillion. Wow. Short circuit this. Let's go talk to anybody who's in the credit markets, who actually deals with debt, who actually understands debt formation, and ask them, how likely is it that we're going to accumulate $52 trillion in between 2010 and 2020, and they just laugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's no way. It's not possible. But if we did do that, if we did create that much money, as it were, that much credit, what would happen to prices is we might create that much, but Zimbabwe created a lot of credit with a lot of zeros on it too. What we would be doing in trying to have the 20 teens look like any of the prior 4 decades is we will be just absolutely debasing our currency. No question about it. So just on that front alone, we have one curve, one exponential curve, the exponential doubling time of credit. And we hold that over here on one side, and then we look at how fast we're using up the energy, how fast it's dwindling. The fact that producers of energy are having production shortfalls that are decreasing on some percentage basis every year. At the same time, the domestic demand in those same countries is increasing by some percentage per year, and you have a double exponential squeeze on exports. And so we're looking at this other exponential curve of declining exports coming in about the same amount of time that we want to double credit market debt. And that's the kind of analysis I'm doing in the book, in the video series, is to start putting those sorts of data points together and say, look, they all want to arrive at the same spot, and they're competing curves. They're completely different from each other. You can't double your credit at the same time you're shrinking your energy supply. Something is going to break in that story. And what I think is going to break is the money itself, fiat money, debt-based money. That's what's really fraying at the edges. That's what's making people uncomfortable. This is where when people go, oh, something's wrong, I don't know what it is, it's your money. It's the money. That's what's wrong right now.